Okay, so what we have is a buck knife, but not just any buck knife. This is the first buck button lock, and it is the 744 Sovereign. Okay, so this is a 7CR17 MOV blade. This is an all stainless handle and of course, like we just said, 7CR17 MOV blade. I'm not sure okay, the pocket clip's not reversible, and I'm not sure if if it's on just washers, which I'm almost thinking it might be, or bearings. Not sure, but this was like $34.95 at Walmart, and I think it lists online at like 50 bucks. A whole lot of hair left on my arm to shave, and I ain't shaving all up here, but it is hair cutting sharp. So it comes out of the box pretty doggone sharp. It's got left and right thumb studs, but like I said, it is right hand tip up carry only. But you can remove the pocket clip if you want, and you can't reverse it. Now, I'll tell you, and it's a hollow ground blade, and let's see. The complete blade length is about 3 3/8, but they probably call it 3 1/4. I don't know, but it measures 3 3/8. The cutting surface is 3 inches, so from the choll here down is 3 inches. Now that's a sharpening choll. I don't really think that's for your finger, although if you've got small fingers, you can fit that in there. I wouldn't recommend or risk it, because you can slip up on that blade pretty doggone easy, and there's no finger jimping in the back to try to give you extra purchase. But that is a pretty good sweep there, and I think that will hold your finger back just fine with no problems. There is no perceptible blade movement, although I mean, I think I'm flexing the blade there, but I can't really see much of any movement side to side, and maybe the absolute bare minimum of up and down. And I really can't see it or feel it, but I feel a hit up down up down up down, just a bare one. So I would figure it's probably about a thou or less worth of up and down movement. And again, like I said, it's a hollow ground blade, which I really prefer flats. And I guess the hollow ground is fine, because it would tend to kind of fold open what you're cutting, I would assume. Flicks open just fine, but it doesn't fall. You push it all the way down, I get nothing, but I can, just drop it down. Detent is pretty light. It's not much. I don't think you're gonna have to worry about it opening in your pocket, but just be aware that detent is not super heavy. And you see, I get down to about 1/4, 3/8 of an inch from the scales, and then it'll pull it on in. It flips open perfectly fine with no issues, and could be probably with a little bit of use, it'll wear itself on in and drop just fine. So it looks like we've got, yeah, it's T6 in the body screws and the clip, and of course these are T6 as well, and then T8 for the pivot screw. So it's all good. Get this up here. Get this out the way. And this old hunk of junk, we're going to see if we can do something with it. We're going to see if we can't make a real knife out of it. I think I found it at a rent house that I was cleaning out for someone, and just said, hey, I'm going to do something with that one day. So we may do it. May replace everything and just use the blade. Just, I don't know, because. So I'm believing that this right here will wear in, because I've got it to the point that it's almost dropping all the way. And so after I flick it a few hundred times, maybe even several hundred times, we'll get it wore in. So, I mean, this is just a fraction loosened up to get this blade moving. So if you get one and the blade is not just dropping like you like it, you can adjust that pivot screw a little bit. Mine didn't have Loctite on it, but I would recommend putting some real light duty blue Loctite, but remember to set your screw. Don't just put Loctite on it, tighten it up, because then once it locks into place, it's going to be that much harder to deal with once it's set up. And so let's see if we can see there. I'm getting better. Backwards flickered that baby. Did it twice in a row. I be's good. Not really, but I'm pretending anyway. So the handles, it's got some weight to it. I don't know what the weight's supposed to be, but it's a decently heavy knife. It's this right here. I compare its weight to like the Ozark spring-assisted flippers in Walmart. So you do have a little bit of play there. I mean, weight there. Because I was pushing this, thinking about it. I couldn't remember if that was actually proud of the surface or if it needs to be recessed. Because now I'm got myself kind of wondering if that may not have. Because I didn't look at it to see if it had a little stud that would lock it into place. I don't know. We'll find out. If the blade starts to get loose, then I'll know that's what happened. That worked itself around. So, I mean, right now I really don't have to give it much coaxing to drop it down. And so I think given time, this baby will be just flip-flopping like all the rest of them. So the handle, like I said, it's got some shaving. A real, like, I don't know if you can see, but a real, I don't know, I want to say teardrop kind of, but it's not shaped like a teardrop. But it's tapered. It's got some chamfering up here and just gets wider as it rolls down to the back side. So this knife is really kind of set up to be left right hand only. Although you can take the pocket clip off and you can operate it left-handed just fine. I've seen videos where people made comments that left-handed prefer to use a right-handed button. I don't know. I'm not left-handed, so I can't say that. But I know I can work it left-handed. I'm getting a little bit better of doing stuff like this with my left hand. The pocket clip is what would be considered a deep carry, but it is right there at the top of the pocket clip is as far as it's going to go. So this piece right here will be sticking up. I don't see that's a problem, because if I see a pocket clip hanging out of your pocket, I know you got a knife in your pocket. So you're not hiding anything. So who cares if it's all the way down and you can't see it? It just means when you got to get it out, it's harder to get out. So regardless, pocket clip has a real decent tension to it. It's a real heavy tension, so I don't think that's a big issue. So, I mean, that's excessive. That's like a 1/4 inch, but I can shove that pocket clip up on there, and that's silicone rubber. So I think the pocket clip is good. The screws are inset, so it's flush all across the scale up into the pocket clip. And again, this is all stainless, and this is 7CR 17 MOV steel. I can't tell you how stain or rust resistant that steel is. I don't know steels that as far as knives and stuff like that much, but I would say that it's pretty decent. I mean, why would you put stainless scales on a knife that the blade's going to rust up on? So I'm really impressed by the knife, and for the price, I mean, it's less than $30. I mean, less than $40. This was $34.90, so say 35. This was $35, and so I feel like it's a good solid knife, and kind of I like knives with a little weight to them, but I really like for that blade to just fall on button locks and crossbar locks and axis locks and Dura locks, safety locks, and locks. I just like for that blade to fall. And every time I do this, it's like this blade falls easier. See, it's all the way down now. So it just takes a little bit of a break in. Once you set that screw, which, like I said, mine came a little bit tighter than need be, because I don't see where I've got any different side to side or up and down after, cinching it back down and backing it off till it drops. So all I did was tighten it up until it felt tight and then give it a tiny twist, and then the blade was tight enough that it wouldn't move. And so I backed up and probably like a 1/4 millimeter. I mean, when you first start to go back and you feel it break loose, I stopped just as soon as it broke loose. So it's not an imperceptible amount that it backed up. And that's how I usually set that screw, by doing that, because it takes an extremely small amount of a turn to make a difference. And so that's what I've got now. And so I believe with work and just playing with this thing over and over again, that it's just going to get smoother and smoother, especially with those bearings. And I did put a little bit of our graphite mineral mix on there, and I don't know that that's helping or not. It had grease on it, and so at some point, I may take this back apart, clean all the grease out, and just put that mix in there, because grease is going to be a heavier friction, in my opinion, and it would roll. It wouldn't be as free as with regular oil. Okay, so final thoughts. This is the 744 Sovereign Buck, the first buck knife that is a button release. Now, I have worked it probably 20 or 30 times since I took it apart, put some more oil in there, and now it drops. Now, that is because of the light detent. You'll have problems where it won't be all the way, because you got to be real close on that button release for it to catch the detent. So I pretty much like everything about this knife. I like the weight, I like the look, I like the feel. There's a couple of cons that I'm not really crazy about. First of all, I don't like a hollow grind blade. It's fine. I mean, I've got no issues carrying or using one. I prefer a flat grind, but the hollow grind is okay. It's just not my favorite. The detent is very light, so that's a second negative. And so you can open it. See, I even tried to. You got to time it just right to get it just right, because the detent, it doesn't catch until right in here, and so if you're not perfect on that button, it won't suck it on in to a closed state. So from time to time you'll find yourself having to finish closing it. So that's another negative. And then another one, there's no finger gimping on the back of the blade here to hold it, get you some grip there. But to be honest, the thumb studs are up, and I actually just put my finger on the blade. I'm catching on that these thumb studs as well. So I think that's not too bad of a thing. I don't really need any on the back of the knife. Open frame, I like that. I got no problems against an open frame. The other issue, and I believe that is in direct relation to the detent not being perfect. So you can break the lock loose just in normal use. You're not likely to. But be aware of that, because if you're using it here, especially here, and you're coming up on that blade with enough force, that lock will release. And you could probably overcome that, because that button is just, it's real soft. Personally, I would take that spring and stretch it a little bit to give more more pressure on that. Or eventually you may find someone who will offer a heavier spring, or find you a heavier spring that'll fit and go in there, but not a lighter one, because the detent is already light enough. So that's really the only negatives that I have for this. I'm not calling the hollow grind a negative. I'm calling the detent on this a negative, because it will break loose with enough force. And I was hitting it pretty hard, but this is a silicone mat. No finger gimping on the back. And that's basically that's the gist of mine. I definitely recommend the knife. I think it's a nice knife for the price. I think it's pretty cool. It's a very fingerprinty knife, and so because of that stainless, even though it is brushed, you will end up with a decent amount of fingerprints on there. But I love the look. I love these type knives. That look and that style, all metal. I think it's cool. And these scales are solid scales. There's no liner on the inside. So all in all, I give it a thumbs up. But the only serious negative I have with this knife is the detent for the button. That detent is much too light. Just be aware of that. I don't think it's going to open in your pocket, but at the same time, that detent is very light, and because of that spring being as light as it is, please excuse me, for that spring being as light as it is, it's not holding 100%. You can whack it enough to knock that loose. So as long as you're aware of those things, technically you're not going to be coming up like that and potentially breaking that lock, breaking it loose. But it is a potential issue. Just be aware of that. But bearings, all metal, stainless steel. I think it's a good blade. I like that blade shape and design. I think that's cool. Like I said, I give it a thumbs up. I think it's a great knife. I think it's worth the money. I think it's worth you getting. Just be aware of that detent, that it is not super strong, and that lockup will break loose. That's all I got. Thanks. Your time is very important to me, and I thank you for spending it here with me. Thanks, and God bless.